All right. I do believe that we are live.
Ready to get fast. Oh, they don't have one.
Hey, Miss Casey, this is Dr. Garner. Look, I think I started up the thing here. Could you do me a favor and either go or bring somebody out to the group room to see if that's up and running?
Yes, I can.
You're awesome.
Well, thanks. I'm gonna let you know on my cell phone.
Okay, you're just gonna call me or?
Okay. Okay, no problem.
I told him.
Thanks, man.
If I wrote
I gotta go back. Hold on a second.
Who met? Who it is that you want? Sorry. Boy. Richard. Friends. Richard? Yes. Richard, Dr. Garner. I do this kind of stuff and audit charges and some other things. And there's things like that. Right here. Long you're in there. Here. Did you force it there? No. Well, that lady at North said she was going to text me and let me know whether or not we were streaming, but she has not done so as of yet, so perhaps we're not. I don't know.
I don't need.
All right, she goes. Okay. All right, so we are streaming over there. So she must have She must have heard me. Thank you, Miss Casey. I appreciate all the hard work that you do over there.
Thank you, Casey.
But it's really getting close to time for group, so let me remind you that if you sign in on the sign-in sheets, we have 2 of them going around here, 2 of them over at North. We want you to sign those things, either HHSC or TAP. You know which one you're supposed to sign on, and then you need to sign that legibly. If you just can't get it done, which is the case with me a lot of the times, I can't get my signature to where people can read it, then just print it out beside your name, because you're not going to get credit if I can't read your name, because I'm not going to punch that button. So make sure that we've got that. And then over at North, when you get those things completed and all of that, if you don't mind, go put them in my box. And then Miss Kim's going to have to keep up with them over here, because I don't have a box over here. But at least we have one box. So this morning, what we're going to take a look at real quickly, we'll be here for a couple hours, so it's not all that quick. We're still in our book. If you don't have a book, let your counselor know. You just got here. Both of you guys just got here. Do y'all have a book? Did they give you a book? Okay, well, we need you to get a book. Who's your counselor? Get with your counselor today and tell them that's the book. You've got a book. It's laying there right in front of you. Oh, that's not yours? Okay. So you need to make sure that you get a book. Just tell your counselor you need a book, because we need to bring our books to class with us. When we come to this group, please have your book. And look, if you're here brand new, start in the front of your book and start working through your book. Just go work through the book, because the book is really, really good, and it's all about what we're all about. So that's what we want you to do. Also, we're going to be studying out of the book for the most part. Now, that we are going to have some extra stuff that we use, because there's a lot of good material out there. However, we are going to be sticking with the book. This morning, we're going to start on page 60. We're starting a brand new week. So this week, we're going to be looking at assignment 9. And I know that if you're brand new here, that you're nowhere near assignment 9. But that's okay. You can go back on your own time or on your study time. We have a study time that you have here, so you can just in that study time you can begin looking at assignment 1 or whatever assignment that you're on. But today we're going to look at assignment 9, and also, if I can find it in here, I'm going to have to mark that page. We go through four different stages while we're here, and we want to make sure that we're on the right stage for this week. Every week we have a different thing that we're looking at. We have physical health. We want to make sure our physical health is getting better. Emotional health, that also hits us, and we need to make sure that that's better. And it's on page 21, but we're not going to stay there. Spiritual health, and then family health. And this week we roll back around to physical health. So we need to be taking care of our physical health, taking a look at our physical health, and making sure that we are doing what we need to get ourselves back physically healthy. Because I tell you, addiction will mess us up physically, won't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it will. I was in such bad shape when I finally got into recovery that, oh my gosh, I just wasn't anywhere. Then I started doing some exercise, and that's one of the things we need to take a look at is wherever I am in my addiction this morning, wherever I am in my recovery this morning, I need to begin to be putting some exercise into my lifestyle. It doesn't make much difference what it is. We need to get up and do something. I see a lot of guys outside working out, trying to pull the fence down and stuff like that. That's okay, because that's good stuff. That's good for us. If we can get out and walk, Miss Charnel, when she's here, when she does group, she really enjoys just taking people out walking around the block. She calls that a wellness walk. And so, if you go do that, there's a mindfulness walk, whatever we call that walk, that's actually exercise, isn't it? Most of us don't get much exercise. We have a clicker, and if you'll notice, if you look at your thumb, a lot of the time we have very muscular thumbs because we're sitting there clicking on that clicker, and when we're not clicking on the clicker, we're clicking on our cell phones and stuff like that, so we get really muscled up thumbs, and the rest of us is kind of falling apart. So whatever we can do, maybe throw the clicker, I was going to say throw the clicker away and get up and walk up and change the channel on your television, stuff like you can't do that. TV won't allow you to do. There's no way to do it without the clicker. So, we need to get up every now and then and do a little something. So exercise is really good for us. So that's what we need to be doing physically. But this morning, what I want to talk about, a little bit about this assignment number 9, and then some of the things we're going to need to do when we get out of here. Because some of us are leaving today. And as time progresses, every one of us is going to leave here, right? Here's the optimal thing. Usually in rehab situations, usually in treatment situations, people don't leave and stay left, right? We go out, we come back, and we do it again. We go out, we come back, and we do it again. That's how rehab works a lot of the time. But here's the deal. In this recovery place, this is a wellness center. So it's not a rehab like normal rehabs, we're all kind of abnormal. But this is a wellness center. What we want to do here is get well. In all 4 of those areas, we want to get well. We want to get well physically. We want to get well emotionally. We want to get well, what's the rest of in our family life. And we want to get well in our mental life. And we want to be well if we're well in those 4 areas and we get out of here and we actually have done the work, then there's no reason for us to come back, except to go out, get educated, and come back as a counselor, or come back just to visit, or something like that. But we should not be coming back 15 times. We come back as many times as we need to, but we need to get to that place where it's the last time, right? We need to have a last time. We need to have a time when we say goodbye to everybody here, and we don't come back because we've actually said goodbye to the behavior and the stuff that's gotten us here in the first place. So here's the deal. We need to develop a program of recovery and increase knowledge of community resources. We need to know what's out there. Someone, I think it was, well, I don't need to say who it was, but I was talking to someone the other day that was talking about getting people back out into their area. We don't want to send people out and say, hey, you need to go to the AA group. Okay, everybody here knows if you're an alcoholic, we need to do some AA. If you're, if you're an addict, we need to do some CA or some NA or something like that. But we don't need to go out just thinking that we might do that. We need to know where that group is in my location. I need to know where that resource is. When I get out of here, I need to be able to go to that resource. One of the things I need to do when I get out of here is go group. I need to go to group. I do. One of the very first things I need to do is I need to get out of, when I leave here, maybe even before I go home, I need to go to my home group. I need to make that a daily thing for a while, and I need to know where those places are. I also need to know where other places are. It's not just the AA group that I need to be a part of. Sometimes I need to be able to go and find something to eat. I may need to get some welfare. I need to get some food stamps. I need to get a place to sleep. I might need to do a lot of things. So I need to know where those resources are. How do you figure out where those resources are? Yes, sir? I just had a question. You said, know your resources before you leave NAANAC.
Cocaine Anonymous.
Oh, you were just okay.
CA is Cocaine Anonymous. What's the FA? Fat Anonymous.
Is that really?
Yeah, it's a real. They have anonymous groups for just about everything. So yeah, that is a real group, and you can go into that group and keep your anonymity and all of that kind of stuff while you're going there. As a matter of fact, we have one meet in our church called Southern Ladies, and they meet in our church. So, so develop a program of recovery. What does it mean when it says develop a program of recovery? What does that mean? I'm going to develop my own program of recovery. I'm going to get some input from my counselors. I'm going to get some input from people who are teaching classes and all of that stuff. I'm going to get some input from people who know, but I'm going to develop my own. Right? I'm going to develop my own program of recovery. So, and the reason for that is I'm going to buy into something that I have developed myself. I'm going to buy into something that I have built for myself a whole lot quicker and a whole lot deeper than something you have developed for me. So I don't need you to develop my program. I'm a full-grown man. I know what I need, so I'm going to develop my own program of recovery. That does not mean, as I've already said, but let me reiterate, that doesn't mean I don't need some help getting that program firmed out and in place. I need your help to help me but look, when it's all said and done, this is my recovery, and I need to get that program in place for myself. So part of that is knowing what all those resources are. Is it a good thing for your counselor to set up all those resources for you?
No.
Well, like I said, we might need somebody's help. Sometimes I'm not capable of setting up some of those resources for myself. So if I'm not, then I'm going to need somebody to help me do that. Yes, sir.
Sound like I was telling myself yesterday, I was like, it was situations that popped up with one of our aides, I was like, I know what I need to do. I know where I got to do.
Yeah.
Also, I can use some help knowing where to do what.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. He said, look, I know what I need, and I know how to do all of that stuff. I can do that for myself, but there are times when I'm going to need some help. Because I will tell you this, I don't know every resource that's out there. I don't know them. But there are people here like Miss Valencia. She knows a lot about all of those. She has researched that. She knows all of that stuff. And so she's one you can go to and say, hey, how about this? How do I find that resource? And she'll be able to help you do that. But what she's doing is not building you a program of recovery. She's helping you build your own program of recovery. And that's how it should be. We're building our own, but we are receiving all the help that we can get to do that, right? We may need to do that. There needs to be somebody that you can go to when you have a problem or need an answer for something, you can go do that. My boss is like that. She's pretty sharp, and I can go to her and say, how do you do this? And she's usually, she has one or two answers. She can tell me how to do it or tell me how to go find out how to do it. She can do that. So that's a good thing, knowing that. Now, we need to demonstrate increased organization of and attention to our daily routines, resulting in personal responsibilities being fulfilled. What am I going to do when I get out of here? Yeah. That was a big deal. First thing I'm going to be looking for is my group. I want to know where my group is. I'm going to go to that group that I have identified in my area. I'm going to go there. I go to an AA group. So I'm going to want to know where the AA group is in my neighborhood. One that's closest to me, one that I can get to easily. If my car breaks down, I can ride my bicycle to it, or I can walk to it, or whatever. I can get a ride to it, whatever. I want to know where that is. But second thing, I'm going to be looking for I'm going to be looking for a job. I want to get a job. Jobs, or the Bible says that work is a gift from God. Jobs are magnificent. You know what happens if you have a job? Once a week, this company here pays once every 2 weeks, but every so often somebody comes by and gives you a little check or something, gives you a little remuneration, gives you a little something to show how much they appreciate the fact that you've been raking the leaves, or you've been sweeping the floors, or you've been doing brain surgery, or you've been doing whatever you're doing that they need you to do, that they're willing to give you money to do. And then at that point, you can do other things. What can you do now? Got a job, pay some bills. Say it again. Yeah, buy you some transportation, get you a house. I don't know, you raised your hand and then you just invest in stuff. You might be able to invest in stuff. I don't know if we're going to make enough money to become great big investors and stuff like that. But, you never know. And we can do all those things. We can finally find a house. Let me tell you how many of us realize that sometimes the place we are going back to, the only place we can go to live, is not the most healthy place for us. Right? Sometimes the place we're going back to is a real viper's den. It's a real bad place for us to be as addicts. It's not a good place. There's triggers everywhere. Everybody there is a trigger. Everything that happens there is a trigger. The music that plays there is triggering. The people themselves that are there are triggered. So if I've got a job, I can use some of that money to buy me a place, so that I can move out and go somewhere where that's not there. All of that, I can get away from all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to be helpful for me. And it says, look, I've got to have daily routines. I've got to build my daily. What are you going to do if you have what's your daily routine? What is your day going to look like? You need to be deciding now, for those of you who just got here. You need to be deciding right now what your day is going to be like when you get sober and you get back into the world again. You need to be deciding what's your day going to be like. So, before, when I was in my addiction, my day was taking the shot of the hair of the dog that bit me that's sitting beside my bed, about that much vodka, and then getting up and getting my day started. And that meant making sure that I had enough money to go buy another pint of vodka. Every day the same thing, and then going to work, about half looped out of my brain the whole day, never eating anything that was kind of nutritious or anything like that. Usually not eating anything all day long, because when I'm drinking, I'm not eating all of that kind of mess. But now I need to have a similar routine that does without the vodka. I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth. You had something?
At least staying doing something that's gonna keep you clean.
Yeah, doing something that's gonna keep me clean. And a routine's gonna help me do that. That's one of the reasons that we have folks in here that's gonna yell at us about not making our bed. Yell at us about not cleaning the floor. Yell at us about not doing the things we're supposed to do, because we're trying to help us get into a place where we have a routine that's going to keep me sober. I get up, brush my teeth, because my mouth tastes nasty after sleeping with it all night. Then I'm going to have something for breakfast. Doesn't have to be the same thing, but I need to have a little something for breakfast and begin my day's consumption of coffee. Right? Yes, sir.
Make bed first.
Make bed. Yeah. We're going to make our beds. We're going to get up first. Before we even brush our teeth, we're going to make our bed. We make our bed, then we're going to go brush our teeth. At some point, we're going to brush them funky teeth. We're going to brush our teeth at some point. Then we're going to try to get something in us. I tell you, most of the time there's a lot of sugar and stuff here. I don't do sugar, so I'm eating something a little bit better than an egg, maybe some cheese or something like that. Then I'm going to get myself dressed, and then I'm going to work. And so once we get all of that done, we're going to work, then we're going to finish that. We need to make sure that our routine covers what?
The whole day.
The whole day. We don't want to leave any part of that day out. We want to have a routine that covers the whole day. Why do we want to cover the whole day?
You want to have extra time.
That's exactly right. We don't want to have a whole lot of extra time. We don't do well with downtime. We don't do well with the downtime. Instead of having that downtime, now I'm going to use that downtime to be going to my group. I'm not going to have a lot of downtime, because downtime for me gives me time to think about what?
True.
Think about what I used to use. Think about those old people I used to use with. Think about going back to some of those folks just to say hi. How many people feel like sometimes they just want to go back and say hi? See, that's when we're lying to ourselves. We're not going back to say hi. We're going back to get high. Right? That's what we're doing. So we need to understand that. Look, and we don't need to be by ourselves. We don't need to go home and isolate and hide somewhere, because when we do that, if that's an alcoholic or an addict alone is in poor company, right? Because I can talk to myself, and I do that sometimes, but when I'm talking to myself, I'll talk myself into doing what?
Drink.
Yeah, whatever I really want to do. And as an addict, as an alcoholic, what do I really want to do? I really want to use my drug. How dare you tell me I can't? I really want to use my drug. But, so when I'm by myself, I'm talking to myself, and myself is telling myself, just like you said earlier, I told myself. So myself is telling myself, you're old enough to drink. You can go have whatever you want, and you know what? I am, and I can. But I don't want to. So I prefer to stay sober. In order to do that, I've got to have a routine. That routine needs to go across the entire day. So if at 3 o'clock, usually by 3 o'clock, I'm through working here. And probably by 3 o'clock today, I'm going to be through working here. I do the groups. I have a meeting to do, and then I'm going to do my notes, and then I got to do some auditing, and at some point I'm going to go home. But I have a routine that if I'm out of here by 3 o'clock, I'm going to be home by 4 o'clock. Takes me about an hour to get home. On the way there, I stop, check the mail, and then I'm at home. Once I get home, I'm pretty safe at that point in time, because I'm married to an eagle. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I can usually talk, not usually, I can always talk myself in and out of anything.
Yeah.
Especially when I got my day full, I can always squeeze in a little time to go do it.
Yes, and that's a very good point. It doesn't take a long time to get us into relapse, does it? Doesn't take a long time to get us into relapse. And we can get out there, and when we can find look, I've got 15 minutes here, and I got this. What am I going to do with this 15 minutes?
It's real.
I can get burnt in 15 minutes. I can. But, so I'm not going to give myself that 15 minutes. I'm also a yard man. I've got 8 acres of land, and I will tell you, if you can't work on 8 acres, especially in the summertime, you just ain't looking. Then I pastor a church, and we have a guy who does a really good job of cutting the grass. He has some kind of aversion to cutting the ditch. So I have to go and cut the ditch. So I have some. If I got 15 minutes, I'm gonna go cut on the ditch a little bit. The point is that it doesn't make any difference what it is. It just needs to be something that fills up that time and causes me to have a routine in my life. What does a routine? What does the word routine mean?
Same thing.
Yeah, I do the same thing every day. I'm going to get up every day. I'm going to do the same thing every day. I've got it set up. Does that mean I got to cut grass every day? No. But there's something I can do every day. Do I ever sit down? Yes. Of course, we've all got to take a break. So I'm going to sit down, watch a good movie sometime. My wife has about 4 or 5 different shows that she watches ad nauseum. I mean, she'll watch them all the time. I said, that show's not even good. She said, yeah, but he's so cute. Okay, all right. Yeah, she's getting old, so just let it go on with her old self. Yeah. So look, here's the deal. It says I got to demonstrate that I'm organizing this kind of stuff and I'm paying attention to it. Did that get done? At the end of the day, when I'm driving home, I always go through everything that I did that day. Did I do group today? Yep, did group, did my notes, met with the boss, did all of the things that I did some auditing. What did I do today that was profitable for me? And I've got the rest of the day. What am I going to do for the rest of the day? Today, when I get home, I am cutting grass. Because if you let it go more than 1 week, you can't find your house anymore. So I am cutting grass today when I get home. We've got 8 acres, but there's only about an acre of it that I have to mow. So I'm going to get down there and mow that today, and that'll take me till it gets just about bedtime. These routines, they are something that I'm going to have to fulfill on a daily basis, and they're going to continue to come up. So every day, I may not do the exact same thing, but every day I need to have something to do. I need to have something that's going to take my time for that day. That makes sense? Because if I don't do whatever it is that is going to take my time that day, then I am going to always go back to that desire to do something. I'm going to get bored like that. How many of us know that? We get, as addicts, we get bored real quick. We get bored real easy. And that's the addiction. That's part of the addiction, wanting me to do something. And what he wants me to do is you. So, consistently use available addiction recovery and or mental health community resources. And this just goes back to the first thing. There are resources out there. We need to continue to use them. MHMR is out there. There's all sorts of counselors out there. There's all sorts of groups out there. There's all sorts of things that we can do. We need to know, look, we may not be able to get a really good paying job or even a poorly paying job right out of the chute. We may not be able to get one, so we need to know where we can go get food stamps. Is that a good idea? Getting a little food stamps? Yeah, even if you're living at mama's house, you need to put something into that house, right? So if you've got a little bit of something coming in from there, a little bit of this, a little bit of that can go in there. And while you're doing that, you're seeking employment. You're finding you want gainful. What is gainful employment? That means getting paid enough to do something with it. If you're not getting paid enough to do anything with it, those very low wages cause stress in your life, which can cause what? Yeah, stress is a really good deal with relapse. That's a really bad thing with relapse because stress in our life, and stress is always going to be in our life. But if we have stress in our lives from some things, it may cause us to relapse. If I'm working for very low wages, I get down to that place where I say, well, it's not worth it. This isn't working well. Things are not going the way that I planned them. I might as well use the account. We don't want to ever get to the I might as well place, right? I want to share something with y'all. I ain't ever going to eat any more Oreo cookies. So why am I not going to ever eat any more Oreo cookies? Well, I'm diabetic, and I really, really like not the chocolate ones. Those are okay, but the vanilla Oreo cookies with all of that garbage in there. I really like that. Whatever that garbage is, I like it. No, I want the thick ones. Let's get as much of that stuff in there as we can get, brother. I want a lot of it. But I ain't ever eating any more of those because here's the deal. When I go eat one of them,
just can't eat one too.
I heard there was a lady on television the other day. She said if you have a problem with cookies and stuff like that, don't tell yourself that you can't quit. You can only eat one. She said don't tell yourself that you can't just eat one. That you have to eat the whole package. But that's true. If you're a diabetic, you eat one, you're gonna eat them all. So I'm not eating any more of those things. I'm just going to stay away from all of that mess. And we have to do that. If we're going to do that, we have to stay at a place where we've got some help staying out of it, or I've got a routine of my own that's going to help me stay away from that. Now, I heard it said a whole bunch of times, but I saw it on Facebook yesterday. They had put an ice cream sandwich in a little pan, and they put one of those cones with the nuts and all of that, whatever that's called, and really good looking stuff, and they taste really good. And they put one of those in that little pan, and they left it outside in the sun for a month, for a solid month. The cone thing kind of ran a little bit. The ice cream sandwich didn't do anything. It would just still look like an ice cream sandwich. But not one bug got on him, not an ant, not a bug, not any kind of bug. Nothing ate that stuff. Nothing. But Will did it. And my wife looked at that and she said, well, I guess there's some kind of chemical. Yeah, there's nuclear waste that they make that junk with. So, that's not part of our study. But just so you know, don't eat them ice cream sandwiches because they ain't good for nothing. Bugs won't eat them. So look, now I know some of us in here are going to run by one, stick it outside to see what it does. Do it. See what that does. Put it out there and see what they'll do. The bugs won't eat it. But we will. We'll leave it out there a couple of days. No bugs get on it. It must be good. We'll get it and eat it. So, consistently use what's out there. What does the word consistently mean?
Over and over and over.
Yeah, look here. It ain't a one-time thing. If I'm having issues and I feel like I may relapse and I'm having some stuff going on in my life and I'm going to run to the AA group or the NA group or the mental health facility or MHMR or someplace like that or Spindle Top or something like that, and then tomorrow it happens again and go back. So I'm going to keep going as many times as I need to keep going, right? I'm going to do it consistently. I'm going to do this on a daily basis. I'm going to set up a routine, and then I'm going to continue to doing my routine. And if my routine has something to do with going to one of I'm going to go. Will they get tired of me? Well, of course they're going to get tired. Does it matter? No, people, the state of we pay them people, so let them get tired of me. I don't care. As long as I need the help, I'm coming. And you're getting paid to help me. And there's going to come a day when I'm not going to need to go and see you. That day's not today. So maybe that day will be tomorrow. But if it's not tomorrow, you better get back up here and be ready for me to come tomorrow. And if you're even more tired of me tomorrow, wait, because I'll be back the next day. So I'm going to do it consistently. I'm going to be there. I've been going to the same AA group forever and ever and ever. They hadn't gotten tired of me yet. Or at least they haven't told me. They hadn't told me so. I know some of my groups like this, y'all get tired of me. But, it's all part of this. That's us learning to be able to deal with some stuff. So consistently use what's available out there, and that's going to help us. We need to know where those resources are. What if I don't need that resource? Do I still need to know where that resource is?
Yeah.
Do I still need to know how to use that resource? Why?
You never know.
You never know. I might not need it right now. But next week at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I may need it, right? So I need to know where they are. My wife goes a little bit nuts on me sometimes because of the fact that when I go to a new place like this, when I started working over here, I drove around all of these roads. I know where they all go. I know where every one of them goes. On the way to my church over there in West Orange, I know how to go 17 different ways. I know all. Why is that? I just like riding around looking at houses for some reason. But the other thing is, I know where I need to go if I have an emergency. If the road's blocked, that's okay. I know another way. I know I'm prepared. If I need to go there, I'm prepared. So if I know where all of the resources are, if I know how to get welfare going on, if I know how to get food stamps going on, if I know how to get commodities, you know what that is? That's just a little box full of food that the state will give you sometimes. A little box full of food is a big deal. Yeah. So it's a big deal. I need to know where the churches are that have food pantry. Our church has a food pantry. It's not huge, but I can guarantee you can come in there and get a box of food, and it'll carry you for 3 or 4 days. That's good to know.
Necessity.
Your necessities, yeah, we'll give you corn and rice and whatever, we get stuff from everywhere. One of the biggest things we have, the whole shelf full of peanut butter. And that peanut butter goes like, there's some stuff there. If I have something to eat, then that's one less thing that I have to stress about. So I need to know those. Like my brother back there said, we never know when we'll get there. I had a young man come and see me not too long ago that needed to have, we have a little benevolence thing, and we had a young lady that came last night that she couldn't pay her rent. So she needed to know where there was a resource where she could get some help to pay her rent. We're going to pay her rent. Yeah, our church is going to do that. We have a certain amount of money, and that's what we have enough to cover what she needs. And so it's good to know that, yes.
Yeah. So what you're saying, when you say the food bank,
yes.
Sometimes they have food.
Yes.
Food banks, what you said, talking about when you get food in.
Right.
They got an officer.
Yeah.
Over there, some of the people.
Yes.
Pay your light.
Yeah, they'll pay your light bill. Some of those places will pay your light bill. And we'll do that. One of the things our church won't do is give you cash money. Why is that?
You might go use.
There's a lot of people like us out there that hadn't come through here yet. And, yes, I need that. And next week, I still need money for my rent. Well, we gave you money last week. Don't know what happened to it. Well, I do. So, we don't give money. We'll go and help. We'll go to that place and pay the rent, stuff like that. Yes.
That's the way to get. That's the way to get rid of friends too.
It is, yeah. It can be, yeah. Borrowing money and asking for money and all of that kind of stuff can be. He said that's a good way to get rid of all the friends, and that might be a good thing. Some of these guys that you're still using and stuff, when you first get back out and they come around asking for some money. If they give you money, that's great. But, the next time ask them for some money again. Sooner or later, they're going to leave you alone. That'd be a good thing. So here's the deal. Learn where those things are. Said, look, so these things are going to help us with the individual activities of daily living. That's IADLS. Individual activities of daily living. There are things we have to do on a daily basis. What are those things? What's one thing you have to do on a daily basis? Brush your teeth. All of those things we should be doing, but we could get by with it. If you don't brush your teeth, y'all ever met anybody that didn't brush your teeth? Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a lady smile at me not too long ago. Hadn't brushed her teeth in so long that I mean, just stuff was growing on her teeth. You can look at that, yellow and all of that kind of stuff. But here's the deal: even if you don't ever brush your teeth, do you have to eat? You do. You have to eat. You have to sleep. These are things that we absolutely have to do. You have to
sleep, drink water.
Drink water.
Necessities.
Yeah, the necessities. You have to eat, sleep, drink water, do all of those things. We also have to, if we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it says we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to do all those things. We also need to have people in our life. We need to have relationships in our life. We have to have we have to have love and caring in our lives. We do. People die from not having love and caring. That's why a lot of people take their own lives, because they don't feel like anybody loves them, nobody cares, so they might as well just go ahead and take their life. So we have to do that. But when we're doing that, we have to make sure that the people that we get into our lives are the right type of people, right? Well, does that make us kind of snooty? No, that makes us intelligent, because look, we don't need to start a relationship with somebody down at Bubba's Bar and Grill. I got nothing against Bubba, got nothing against his bar or his grill. But I'm not going to make a relationship with people that are down at Bubba's Bar and Grill, because I can't go to Bubba. I can't be down there. I can't find myself with those people who are going to be down there, because those people usually don't understand why I'm not there. So I got to have some things like that for daily living. Some of these things, identify relevant community resources and ways to access them for help with independent activities of daily living. But we've been talking about that all this morning. We're talking about going to the welfare. Going to get some food stamps. Going to get, it's SNAP now, isn't it? Yeah, going to get one of those SNAP cards. Whatever it takes. Going to the food pantry. Going to the food bank at one of the churches. Whatever it is, we know that there's a lot of help out there to make sure that you have something to eat. There's a lot of stuff out there to make sure that your children are not going to go without. There's a lot of stuff out there. We just need to know where it is. I've had people come to our church and tell us, I need this. And we'll say, well, have you tried this? They say, well, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. If they haven't been in the system, working with the system, they don't necessarily know where those things are. So as we leave from here, we need to know that. A lot of us, we have our jobs waiting on us and all of that stuff, and we're going to be able to go right back into our jobs and all of that. That's a good thing. But that's not true for everybody, right? That's not true for everyone. So we need to know where those resources are, and then once we know where they are, we need to avail ourselves of those resources. They're out there. Why are those resources out there?
Help you get on your feet.
Help you get on your feet? Yeah, they're there for me.
Cool. Society.
Yeah.
Keep doing
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there. Yeah, they're out there to help me get on my feet. They're out there to help me.
Help me stay consistent.
Yeah. Yes, to help me keep my recovery going the way I wanted to. And look, there are always people who want to help people who need help. You can see that thing that happened down in Kerrville. There's thousands of people down there trying to find people right now. I saw something yesterday that just established my hope for mankind. I had a church wasn't all that great, and I wasn't feeling all that good, so I went to the store yesterday, and while I'm in the store, there's a lady in line, and she was getting all, her food. You could tell this is just basic food that she was getting, and after they rang it all up, she didn't have enough to pay for it. So what's she doing? She's looking in the bag to pull out the stuff that she could. She really, really thought she could possibly live without, and so she's pulling out this little bit. There's a fella in front of me. I was thinking, okay, I had $13. So I said, I don't know how much she needs. I'm going to go around him and see if I can help that lady out. But he went up there before I did. And I said, okay. And he handed her a bill. And of course she said, oh, no, no. And he said, no, I want you to have this. So finally she took it. She paid for her groceries. And when she did, she handed the girl $100 bill. So that guy had given her $100 bill to cover her necessities. When the lady took the $100 bill, she broke it, and she did all of that stuff, and she handed the change back to the lady. And the guy would not take he let her have. He just gave her $100. And so, see, that's just people helping people. So there's people out there that want to help me if I need the help. And so, if I need the help, I need to avail myself of that. I need to not be too proud to take it. She tried to refuse it. He wouldn't let her. We always do that kind of silly
And
stuff.
what's so beautiful, man, like that storm that happened on 4th of July, I was checking out HEB, what they done, and they done, man.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful they done to the family down. They helped them with the brother.
Yeah. So HEB was helping, and every year we give away turkeys. HEB will give us turkeys almost free to give out to people, and so people want to help. So as people want to help us, we need to let them help us. Now, here's the thing: how long does that need to carry on? It needs to carry on as long as you need it to carry on. You don't need to be ashamed of letting it carry on as long as you need to have it carry on. But here's the deal. At some point, you need to pick up your own slack. Yeah, it ain't a lifetime kind of thing. It's not a life skill. It's not something you need to be doing. It's something you can, it's there for those emergency situations and to get me back to a place where I can get my routine going on and I can do for me, right, for myself. And because there's other people that might need that as well. And once I can get to my place, I can get myself where I can do for myself, I might need to pay it forward a little bit myself. Have you ever given anything to the food bank? I've given a bunch. We pick up food and stuff like that. When it's at a place where we got to get rid of it, we're going to take it to the food bank. There's a big food bank here in Beaumont. We're going to take it. If the church can't do anything, we'll take it down there and give it to the food bank, and they always going to be able to give it out to somebody. So here's the deal. This is exactly what I was saying. Take responsibility for your own IADLSs. What's that? Independent activities for daily living. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your own. You have to do it at some point. Now, look, taking responsibility for my own independent daily activities for living might mean going to the welfare office. Might mean going to the church and saying, hey, I want a bag of them grits you got right there. It might be, give me some of that peanut butter. It may be that, but at some point it also means, yes, sir, I will cut the grass. Yes, sir, will I cut the grass? I will manicure the grass. You let me go do that, right? Cutting grass is something my son-in-law used to cut grass for a living. And, man, he did pretty well. He had lawns all over the place. He doesn't do that anymore, but he did for a while, so it's good. Take responsibility for my own IEDLs up to the level of my own potential. I need to do for myself to the level of my own potential. If I can get it to where nobody needs to fool with my life, then that's a good place to be. If I can't, if I can get it up to 50%, if I can get it up to 20%, if I can get up to whatever I can do, I need to be doing. Right? I need to do that. I was coming to work this morning, passed by a young man who was sitting on his porch, or sitting by his garage on his telephone, and it just ran through my mind, he ought to be on the way to work. He's not. He's not. He might be doing, and see, that was a bad thought, but he might be at the level he might be at his highest potential right there for this day. That doesn't mean that he can't be looking for it to get at a better place tomorrow, right? So that's what we need to be doing. At some point, I need to take responsibility for my own, up to the level that I can, and then develop resources for obtaining help from others while I need that. I'm going to develop those resources. I'm going to get the help I need. But at some point, I need to be able to say, okay, thank you, I got this, right? At some point. And that's where we start working on that from here. When we're just beginning, we start working on that from this point. And then lastly on this thing, it says, look, plan and implement timely, appropriate, safe responses to emergency situations. What's an emergency situation?
Surge.
What is it?
An urge.
An urge, yeah. It's an emergency situation. Of course, we all know if somebody's shooting at you or stuff like that, those are emergency situations. If you're sick, if you don't have any food, if you're getting kicked out of your house, if your car explodes, if you bought one of those electric vehicles, that's an emergency situation.
If your dog explodes.
Just because if your dog is sick. All of those things are emergency situations, but just like you said, if I wake up and find myself in a deep urge, if I really have a desire, that's an emergency situation. And, say it again?
You got bad bowels and you lose it.
Yeah. That's an emergency situation. See, some people's emergency situations are different than other people's emergency situation. His emergency situation is pooping on himself. That's an emergency situation. Especially if you're downtown. Or if you have, Walmarts or something. That'd be an emergency. What are you going to do?
That's emergency.
It is an emergency. So what are you going to do? So here's the deal. When I'm beginning to have an urge, when I'm beginning to have some issue in my life, I need to have a plan in place already. I don't need to. Carry some diapers with you or something. When I was, when I was over in West Texas, we had. I was working for a compression company over in West Texas, and we'd have to go out into the field in Freer and places like that and make sure the compressor was doing okay. And in our trucks, we had a rifle, shotgun, and a snake bite kit. Why do you think that was? There's more rattlesnakes over there than there are jackrabbits, and they're everywhere. Yeah, I didn't want to get. I never wanted to use the snakebite kit, but I didn't mind using that shotgun. I didn't mind using the rifle either. The shotgun was for one that was right there, and the rifle was for one that was over there. And I'd rather have the one that was over there. But there's rattlesnakes all over the place over there. So all of that meant what? Well, I had shotgun, rifle, and a snake bite kit in that truck. What was that in there for? Emergencies. Exactly. I was planning for an emergency situation.
Did you ever see them?
Do I have kids?
I said, did you ever see the snakes?
Yeah. I killed about 7 of them while I was there. One of them was way big old snake. I kind of felt bad about killing that one. Don't know why. Because it tried to get away, and I said, nah, that ain't happening. There's a bunch of big old cactus, and it came out on this side, and I said, uh-oh, and it just kind of saw me, and it went back to that side, and I threw some at it, and it went back to that side, and it went back to this side, and it lost its head. Because I shot it with his shotgun.
Target
And that thing was like 6 or 8 foot. It looked like it was 27 feet. It was big.
Did you think he was gonna let you make it?
I think he was probably going to go away and leave me alone, but I couldn't let it go, because the thing about it is, if there's a big old snake like that, you don't kill it, and somebody else gets bit, then I just felt bad about that, so I took care of it. But there was one in the road that I got out to get rid of, and my son jumped out of the car and ran around there too, and he's like 3 at that time. And so it was just, that place has a lot of rattling snakes. But the point of all that story is that we were prepared for it. We made a plan before it happened. We had a plan before anything happened. And here's the deal. Nothing ever happened to where I needed that snake bite kit. Nothing ever happened. And in my life, hopefully, nothing will ever happen that'll get me to a place of relapse. Nothing will ever happen. And in your life, hopefully, nothing will ever happen. But you need to have a plan in case that emergency does pop up there. Somebody comes up and says, hey, man, will you like a little something? You can say, well, got to go. I got to go over here because there's a meeting being held over here that I have to go to. And you get up and go to the meeting. You be prepared when that happens. We need to be prepared to turn people down. We need to be prepared to tell people, I don't do that anymore. We need to be prepared to tell people, this is not who I know that I look just like that guy you used to hang out with, but I'm not him. I'm not him. I'm somebody entirely different. So you need to go. So I need to have a plan for what I'm going to do when there's an emergency comes up. When I don't have food, I'm going to go get some food. There's 75 places where I can get food. I'm going to go do that. When I need some help with my rent, I'm going to go find that. I'm going to find me a job. I'm going to do something when that emergency arises. But when that urge hits, when that desire hits, I'm going to have a plan for that emergency as well. Because here's the deal: I can't use, or I'm going to die. I have the choice between living a fairly good life. Fairly good. I eat well. I got a nice enough house. I got a nice enough car. I have a job where people just adore me. Thank you. Yeah. But I do have a job. And all of these kinds of things. So I have a fairly nice life. It's okay. It's not the bestest thing, but it's okay. And God loves me and all of that stuff. I have the opportunity to speak to you guys, and I have the opportunity to preach at church, and all of those things are good. Or I go back to drinking and die within a couple of years. I just know that if I go back, I'm not going to go back a little bit because it's impossible. I'm going to go back, and when I get back, it's going to be completely, totally, utterly gone. And so that's a real big emergency for me. So I have to have, and I have a plan, and I'm going to get rid of all of those. The first thing that I did was get rid of all the people in my life that still use. I don't have anybody in my life that uses. And a lot of those people, I know it's hard. A lot of those people are family people. But I love my family, but they're not worth my recovery.
Say no. Say no. The word no. It's the easiest word to pronounce in the dictionary, but the hardest word to say to somebody.
Well, I love that. That's really good. Said the word no is the easiest word in our language to say or to pronounce, but the hardest word to say. And that makes sense. And I have so many people that come up with excuses. But they're my family. I don't care. Good, great. Good, great. Family, they're just people that happen to be born, in the same lineage as you are and all of that kind of stuff. Not making light of your family. They're wonderful people. I'm sure that they're just, the salt of the earth and all of that stuff. But everybody knows that Salt is bad for you. Right? So, all right, we're going to take us a break, and we'll be back in here about 15 minutes after, and see you then.
So then sign up
What? Yeah.
That's lunch.
I prefer sandwich. And I ain't never gonna be. Oh shit! Yeah, thank
Okay. Don't leave. I'm sure.
you. Yeah.
This is the original name of my cousin coming in.
Well, but you can't have spray in there. Spray in the closet. There's 2 cigarettes there. That's good there, but you can't have it.
Bleach. Bleach. Even there.
You just have to go back and bleach.
Oh no. She Miss Lindsay told me to put 1 cup of bleach.
That's what one CSC is.
She said we want you to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, something that you use.
Well, I just know bleach can't be left in there.
Oh, it's not.
It shouldn't be poured in a cup. Just use the bleach and leave the bleach back.
Yeah. Put a bleach there. Yeah.
Jesus City, Jesus sucks, so what was that? Oh, everything. I'll be dressing all blue. Who made that song? Who made that song? Now we creeping till the world frees up. He
I
told
got some jail so I can breathe.
who made that song?
I have no idea.
DJ DMD. But you know everything about that song.
I don't know all the names, but I know all the songs. DJ, so I got 25 Bibles in my dresser.
DJ DMD.
Trying to get saved. Got 25 Bibles on my dresser. Time to get saved.
I was serve everybody trying to say, no. Hey, where's the, hot tub? Pop tarts on my dress, it's,
I got 25 Pop Tarts on my dresser. Yes, sir. Time to get obese.
That's to lose weight.
that's the little, oh, that's the gain weight, lose weight.
25 Pop Tarts on my dresser. Yes, sir. Time to gain some weight. Got 25 Pop Tarts on my dresser. Yes, sir. Bound to gain weight. If I only knew. If I only knew.
Hey, hold up. Pop Tart.
Man, hold up. Hard in my truck. I'm gonna get that cream filling all in your blood. Man, I'm gonna see acting codeine. I'm gonna pop the trunk on a dime on the scene. Down when I fall. I'm gonna break the on the dime on the swift fall.
Man, hold up. Got a Pop Tart with coffee in my cup.
All these things that, that's got nuts in my blood.
Okay. There he is. It's that man from TV.
Say it again, dude.
It's that man from TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some glasses.
On Friday, and like
That's it working.
Two minutes to groove.
All right, then. All right, we're back. Most of us. I'm looking over north. I can see that most of you are back. This second part of it, we're going to be looking at some more of this stuff tomorrow morning. We'll be shooting from north to here, but we're going to be looking at a little bit more of the same stuff that we were going over today. We're going to be looking at it tomorrow. But I want to spend the rest of the few minutes we have here this morning looking at one of the things we really need to get into our bag of tricks, and that is coping skill. You see this old boy right here, and I don't know if y'all can see it over north, but this guy here has a hook in his mouth, and something got him, right? Something got a hold of him. He's hooked by something.
Tooth fairy.
Yeah, tooth fairy, perhaps so, But that's a hook that's in there, but it could be the tooth fairy. I don't know how they operate, but here's the deal. All of us are hooked with something. Yes, sir?
Addiction.
What is it?
Whatever addiction.
Okay, yeah, hooked by whatever addiction that has us. So all of us are hooked by something, and so what do we have to do?
Get the hook out.
Get the hook out, cut the line. This is what this old boy is about to do. He's got some scissors or snips or something there. He's about to cut the line, pull the tooth, to do whatever is necessary. So what is that called? A coping skill. And we have to create new coping skills, which makes it a little bit harder. Sometimes, we can come up with coping skills, but when we have to create new coping skills because our old coping skills we can no longer use. What were our old coping skills? Using drugs or alcohol, whatever your drug was, whatever your whatever thing that got you through the day, that was your coping skill. Anything that came up, if you were angry, your feelings hurt, somebody did something nasty, you couldn't pay the bills, you can't pay the rent, you can't buy food, it doesn't matter if you can get high, right? I can cope with anything as long as I've got a bottle. I can cope with anything as long as I've got my drug, because that's my coping skill. So I use that to push down that. I know I got to pay the rent. You don't have to tell me I got to pay the rent. I know I have to pay the rent. I don't have the money to pay the rent, but I know the rent's due. So instead of paying the rent, I use the money that I could have paid the rent with to go buy some stuff.
Well, you said it, not funny, but okay, so light bill was $200. I was like, okay, I can use 20 of it. I can get that 20 back real quick, but keep using that next 20, the next 20.
Right.
I know it down to zero, and I should have paid light bill.
I don't know if you could hear him, but he said you got $200 to pay the light bill with, but if we can use 20, you get a little something. But then we're going to use another 20 to get another little something. Yeah, I used to do the same thing, when the bill was a couple of $100 and I had the couple of $100, but, the bottle of booze was only about, back in the day when I was drinking, it was only about $3, a little bit less than $3. But, I can do the same thing, eat that money up that I need to pay the bills and stuff with little bitty chunks at a time. We talked the other day about how do you eat an elephant?
One bite.
One bite at a time. That's the same way we're going to use all of money up one little snippet at a time, little bitty something at a time. We're going to get, a little bit of it's going to be gone here, and a little bit of it's going to be gone there until all of it's gone. And now what can I not do? Can't pay the rent. Can't pay the bills. What's that do? Yeah, it causes some more stress. And now I'm yelling at myself because I knew I shouldn't do that. Well, that was stupid. I shouldn't do that. And what are you, crazy? You knew you needed to pay the bill, and instead of paying the bill, you went and got high. That ain't good. That's crazy.
And I'm going to borrow some more money to go get rid of that stress that I just caused myself.
And you go borrow some more money. I got all kind of stories, but I had a lady came and talked to us about, I need some benevolence. I said, okay, what happened? You have this money coming in. And she said, yeah, but I gave one of my friends that money to go pay my rent.
Oh.
And they didn't do it. So, okay, they didn't do that. Okay. So, does that sound right? No, I'm not going to get, no. And the apartments right here, if you walk down to the end of where the apartments are, the office is right there. Yeah, I mean, it's half a block to where you got to go pay for it, So anyway, there's some coping skills that when we have an addiction that we need to take a really quick look at. We know that we're getting rid of our old coping skills. They don't work anymore. So we're getting rid of our old coping skills. They don't work anymore. They don't work for us. They may work for other people. They don't work for us. So we got to get rid of them. So few things are as powerful as having a supportive person in your corner. We need to have some social support. So what's the most important thing about our social support system? Somebody tell me. The most important thing about our social support system.
Positive.
They need to be positive people. They do need to be positive. Y'all know any people that are drinking and using that are positive? Ooh, I do. I know some very positive people that are drinking and are that. They need to be what? Sober. So our support system doesn't need to be just a social support system. They need to be a sober social support system. Right? They need to be, if they're not sober, what should we do with them? Yeah, nothing. Right. Kick them to the curb. They cannot be your social support system if they are not sober. So we do need a social support system, but they have to be specific people. They have to be sober. They have to be people who, like you said, are positive. I don't want a negative person as my social support system, right? You don't want to have somebody come over to your house and say, you ain't never gonna make it. Yeah, I've known a whole bunch of addicts, and you just like all of them, you ain't never gonna make it. Right? So we want to have somebody that's positive. Somebody's going to be able to come over and say, look, man, you've got this. You're going to make it. I'm here to help you. So we need a good, sober support system. Can your sponsor be part of your sober support system? Your sponsor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your sponsor should be a large part of your sober support system. Who else can be part of your sober support system?
Minister.
Your church, your pastor, minister at your church, anybody that is a sober person can be. You can have sober people that don't have to be your sponsor, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to be. Your sponsor should be sober, but you can have other people that are in your life that's just your sober support. But we need to have that social support. Just knowing that friends, family, or even fellow group members or sponsor are pulling for you can make all the difference. We know that. Sorry? So that we know that it's good to know that there are people who are there pulling for you. They're there for you if you need something. They're going to help you, right? It's good to know that those folks are there. So we need that sober support system. We need more than just a sober support system. We need to have a sober support system that is there on a daily basis. You know, it's good to have somebody say, "Well, look, I'm your pastor. I'm gonna support you every Sunday, and I'm gonna support you every Wednesday." Is that good enough?
Not every day.
No, no. You got to have somebody there every day. And actually, it'd be good for your pastor to be there every day, but that's not usually what's going to happen. Because, you know, they got jobs, they got doing all of those kinds of things. So it's not, but that's why usually it's a better thing if I've got a sober support system that doesn't say sober support person, it says sober support system, which means there's more than one.
You know, that answers the question that someone had a couple of weeks back. Can you have more than one sponsor? It's best to have just one, but you can have a support system like a pastor.
Right. You've got one sponsor. You don't really want to have more than one sponsor. You have one sponsor, but you have as many sober people in your support system as you can muster. Many as you can get. Many as you can get. So that's going to be helpful because you're going to need a sober support system. Because what if Bubba, who is sober, been sober for 35 years, doing really well, but he's gone somewhere. And you're having a real crisis. You can't get a hold of Bubba. So you may need to call Babette. Right? You may need to call John. You may need to call somebody else. So you need to have more than one sober person in your life. I will tell you this, most sober people, excuse me, most sober people are not going to sell out their life to take care of you. Right? So you're going to need more than one. They're willing to be there when they can be there, but not all the time can they be there. So you're going to need more than one. Yes.
I had another question to ask that. Okay, so I heard the said, okay, your sponsor while we're here need to be male.
Sponsor always needs to be male.
Always?
Yeah, you can't get a female sponsor.
Okay, that's what I was
no. Now, the people at North, you need a female sponsor.
There you go.
But you need to have a sponsor of the same gender. Because, why is that?
So, conflict of interest.
Well, you know, if you have a sponsor, you're going to get pretty close with that sponsor, and pretty soon feelings emerge, and before you know it, you know, you're a couple, and you know, we don't. That's not what we're there for. We're there for helping us to become sober, stay sober, and work through the steps, stuff like that. So we don't need any other distraction. And so that's why you cannot have. I had a young man tell me one time, he said, "I finally found both of them." I said, "Oh man, that's good stuff." He said, "Yeah, my wife has agreed that your wife can't be your sponsor. Your husband can't be your sponsor. You can't do that." So it says, look, there's more to social support than having somebody to call during moments of crisis. Although that's highly important. So I want to be able to call somebody in times of a crisis, don't I? Yeah. I want to be able to call my sponsor. I also want to be able to call Scott. I want to be able to call Charlie, because both of them are really, you know, they're sober people. I want to be those that actually my sober support system in my life. I want to be able to call Chuck. Chuck's crazy. He's a motorcycle crazy loon. But he's sober support system. If I called him, he'd get on his motorcycle and come to my house if it's necessary. And, you know, because he's part of my sober support system, we need to have more than one. And I want to be able to call those people when I'm in crisis, but that's not all that I need those people for. People who have a strong relationship are more resilient when it comes to facing life's obstacles. When I have somebody dies in my family, you know, if my wife passes away, my kids pass away, my dog passes away, I need to have somebody that's going to be there on my side. I don't need to go through that by myself, right?
So
I need to have somebody who will come to. If something crazy happens, I know that there are people who will come be at my house, and most of them will bring food when they come.
I mean, keep right in mind what you explained resilience was.
Resilience means tough. That means I'm just tough enough to take it. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to be in a situation where I'm not going to just fail because I got up this morning didn't feel good, didn't feel well. I got up this morning didn't feel well. Guess what? I came to work. Right? I'm resilient. Means it's just being the ability to continue going even sometimes you don't want to. Being resilient. It's just being tough. So people with good relationships can deal with things a whole lot better than people who don't have those. And more likely, these people are more likely to beat that addiction down in their life. They're more likely to do that because they have help being resilient. So we need to make a point to strengthen our relationships. We need to have some good, strong relationships. We need to have people that one of the best ways that I know to strengthen relationships is to eat. I have this thing about eating. I'm addicted to it. I do it every day. I really like it. Good food is good food, right? I like doing that. And so, when my friends would go out to eat, some of my friends live in, like Charlie I just mentioned, and Chuck, most of those guys live in Kermit. That just got our favorite restaurant over there. We just wiped away. Hopefully they rebuild it, but it's gone. But those people are resilient because they just are. So make a point to strengthen those relationships. Attend support groups. It is very important for us to attend support groups. Go to AA, go to NA. Do the things we need to do to support recovery. That's what it's about. How many people, and a lot of us don't know a lot of those folks right now, but how many people know people who have been out in their recovery, out in the world out there? They're going to an AA group or they're going to their NA group. They're doing what they need to do to support themselves, and then they relapse. Does it happen? Yeah. Happens way more often than it should. But people who are doing that have a much bigger chance of staying in their recovery than people who don't. So yes.
yeah, I had a cousin. He basically this I guess overseer of the group.
Yeah.
Unlock the door, let it be. Pass out the book. Like his oh gosh, yeah, no done.
Yeah.
He relapsed.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a
He relapsed.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a mentor for everybody.
Lifeline?
Yeah.
big big deal in the AA, been in AA, going there and still relapse. I had he wasn't really my friend, but I had a guy that I knew. His wife was our friend, and he was clean for like 30 years. Relapsed, pulled all of his money out of his 401k, bought him a new truck, bought him a new boat, ran off, left his wife, did all kind of crazy mess and he was a big A. So it does happen, but it is less frequent than it is for people who don't go get the support. If you go out there without any support at all, you're pretty much burnt already. We have to have, this is not of I'm going to do it all by myself. I don't need any help. I'm full grown. I'm going to take care of this on my own. I know exactly what I need to do. No, you don't. Because if you knew exactly what you need to do, you would know you needed that support. All the support you can get. You can do all of the help you can get. You need recovery people helping you to recover. Yes, sir.
That was the exact mindset I had every single time I got out of jail. I got this. I'm doing it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that adding? Is that addict thinking?
Yes.
Every time he got out, he felt like I'm going to do this on my own. That's addict thinking. That feels like I've got this and I don't need any help with it. And that's just really, really not true. If we don't get some help, we're not going to get much of anywhere. So, yes.
See, the thing is, like, I had my mind in a place, like, I really thought I could, but I never been to this kind of wellness center
Right.
to help me with the tools and actually, so.
Well, I like the way that you said that. You said that I had my mind in a good place. I thought I could. That's not a good place for your mind to be. Your mind needs to be in a place where it says, man, if I don't get some help, I'm going to screw this up. I've already screwed up my life, and if I don't do something, I'm going to continue to screw it up, and I don't want to screw up my recovery. So if I don't get some help in this, I might as well, just go back now because I'm going to mess this up because I need. Look, without this, is there possible that somebody could get out there without any help at all? They could. Yes, there are that outlier. There's always a possibility. It might be the same possibility if you win in the lottery 3 times in the same day, but there is that possibility out there. But I want to tell you this, now y'all get a hold of this. It ain't you. You're not that outlier. You're not that one. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You'd already, you'd have this thing licked and you'd be at the house and it wouldn't be a problem. But since you're not that outlier, you're with the rest of us, right? Y'all get quiet sometimes. What are you cooking right here in the middle of the group? You're cooking. Okay, I understand. And you're right, it is kind of cool. So here's the deal, the 10 support group. Build new friendships. We are social animals. We need to have friends in our life. We need to have friends in our life. We just do because we are social animals. But we need to make sure that friend, whoever that friend is not going to lead us down the primrose path. That friend has to be social. And that friend has to be somebody who's going to remain. So look, we do need crisis social support too. When we have a crisis, we talked about it a little bit, we need sober support every day, all day long. But when we are in a crisis, when something happens, a guy came and told me he's going to his brother's wedding, and that was a crisis. Why is that a crisis? It's his brother's wedding.
After the wedding.
Well, the booze is going to be flowing right after the wedding. The bar is open and it's free. So he went. Did he fail? Did he have an issue? Did he get drunk? Yes, he did all of those. Yeah, he did all of that stuff. So that was a crisis. He needed somebody. He was over there without a ride and all of this kind of stuff. He needed somebody he could call right after that wedding and say, come get me. Or first thing, don't ever go to something like that without a ride to get out of there. So when it's a crisis, it's helpful to have a person you can count on for support. If you need a ride, if you need something, if you need them to come and talk to you, if you need whatever, you need to have somebody that you can call for that kind of support. Someone you can call who will help to talk you through the situation. So we need to actually make a physical list of the people you can contact during these situations and how you can reach them. Do you have anybody that you can call that if you went home today and they were in your house, it'd be okay? You have any friends that are close enough that if you went home and they were sitting in your house watching your television, eating your chips, it'd be okay?
Not there. But again,
I do. I have people like that. I went not too long ago to one of my friend's house, I called him first before I went over there, and I said, "Look, I need your car." What do you think that friend said?
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, that friend said, "Sure, okay." What's amazing is that they didn't ask me why. They didn't ask me where I was going to be going. They didn't ask me if I was going to fill the car up with gas. I needed a truck, and I didn't have one. My wife had one, but she was gone. So I needed a truck, and I went and borrowed this truck, and I was really, after it was over with, it was like a 2-ton truck. And I went and did whatever I had to do, and I filled it up, and it cost me like $11,000 to fill it. That thing, man, you started it up, and you could hear the gas tank going. God, man, I mean, it got like 3 miles to the gallon. But my friend, and he never did ask me, "What'd you do with my truck?" I called him up and said, "Hey, your truck's over there by your house." "Okay." The keys are under the seat. Yeah, full of gas. Yeah, okay. Might be the first time it's been full of gas in months. Oh my God. But yeah, you need to have somebody. You need to have somebody like that. If I come home and he's in my house, his name is Bob. If Bob's sitting in my house, eating my chip, watching my television, it's okay. The thing, but it's reciprocal, because if he comes home and I'm in his house, it's fine. And I've been in his house, sitting on his couch, and you got this huge old TV, watching his TV stuff, waiting on him. When he comes and sees my car in the yard, he knows I'm in his house. Yeah. He's got this great big huge. He's a carpenter. He builds not shelves, cabinets and stuff like that. And so he would rather me be in his house than in his shop. Yeah, but I do go in his shop and find stuff, when I need it. Yes.
It takes a while to build a relationship like that, like a preacher back home, where he told me to come get my check. House, if you in the shower, I was just allowed to and come back like twice. He's like, next time you should walk in my house.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable doing that. I did.
But if you have that type of relationship, you said sometimes you don't feel comfortable walking in somebody else's house. But if you have that type of relationship, you be comfortable.
Yeah.
My friend in Kerrville, he pastors a Family Life Church over there in Kerrville, and when I go to Kerrville, instead of staying at one of those expensive places over there, I go to Charlie's house, and he's got a back room, his back nice bedroom back there that's got a bathroom that goes with that back room and all of that kind of stuff. My wife and I just go back there, and we stay there. If Charlie's not home, I know where the key is. Yeah, it's a guest room. I know where the key is. I'm going in Charlie's house. Yeah, Now, because I love Charlie, I'm going to tell him, "Hey, I'm coming to Kerrville." Now, to Charlie, that doesn't mean I'm coming to Kerrville. That means I'm coming to Kerrville. I'll be in your room when you get home. I'll be in your house on your back porch. Coffee gonna be made. I'm gonna be doing that kind of stuff. But it's good to have people like that in your life. Because if I have an issue, the first thing that I did early in the morning when I saw on television all of the crazy stuff that was going on in Kerrville, and I saw some of the places, man, I was going to buy some land right there. And my wife and I drove right over that little bridge right there that just washed away, and all of that kind of stuff. I called Charlie. That's the first thing I did. Called Charlie. I didn't get to him. I had to text him because he's on line with somebody else. But I got to hold Charlie, make sure Charlie's all right. And my house is available for Charlie. It's 5.5 hour drive away, but if he want to come on over here, it's dry. And it's his if he wants it. So it's just we need to have people like that in our life. Sometimes it's a good deal for me that Charlie is that close a friend of mine. He's 5.5 hours away. So that makes it, I don't see him every day. So if he's got some bad stuff going on, I don't know. So it's kind of it. So we need that someone we can call, someone who will walk us through it. So we need to have a physical list of those people. Now, it's good to have a physical list, I have a mental list. I can tell you who I can call on, but it's good to have a physical list because when you make a physical list, that solidifies it in your mind. You know, you've got this person on your list. What should you do before you make the list?
Make sure the people you put on the list are sober.
Make sure the people that's put on the list are sober. Make sure these are the people you want to have in your life. Make sure these are people who are actually in your life, and make sure they're okay with it. Don't put somebody on your list that doesn't want you. If they don't want to be on your list, then don't put them on your list. They're not as big a friend as you think they are. Make sure that they love you, and they're going to do that. So, okay, that's going to help you with coping skills. That's going to help you get to the place where when something happens, you're going to have somebody you can call. That's really, really, really important. Again, we're social animals. We need to have social interaction with other people. We need to do that. I do that as often as I can, to have a social interaction with other people. Now, here's the deal. We got all of those people, we got our list made and all of these things, but those cravings and things can still come, right? We can still have a craving come, we can have that urge come, we can have all those things happen. But look, so we need to do some stuff to help that. One of the things we need to do is start looking at some things to divert those cravings or those urges when they do come. So we need to make diversions. What's a diversion? Yeah, something that's going to, a detour. That's a good way of saying it. Something that's going to take my mind away, going to divert me away from whatever's trying to get me, right? So if I have a diversion that I can put into my life, it's going to take me away from whatever's after me. Now here, we know cravings are brutal. Anybody ever crave their drugs? Yeah, I have. And cravings are brutal. They can be nasty. They grow, they get worse. They're gnawing at your willpower. Right now, right this moment, I'm thinking of a moon pie. Moon pie. Moon pie. I mean, hey, man, I'm thinking of a moon. So that's it. That's part of my willpower. It's chipping at that willpower. And how many folks know, and I know everybody here knows, we cannot defeat this addiction with willpower, can we? We can't defeat this addiction on will. Most of us in here have tried to defeat this addiction with willpower. So when those cravings come, they snip at our willpower and pick at our willpower and take that back. And what's the worst thing I can say to myself?
It's okay.
Yeah, I deserve it. Yeah, I deserve it. One little something, one stupid cookie, is that going to kill me? No. But the 9,000 that I'm going to eat after I eat that one. Because I can't eat just one. Y'all remember the commercial about the potato chip? Nobody can eat just one. There's millions of people that can eat just one. I ain't him. I'm not the guy. If I eat one, I'm going to eat the whole pack. I'm going to not only eat the whole pack, I'm going to stop and get another pack. And that's the same way I am with alcohol. Can I drink one beer? Yeah, I can drink one beer. As long as there's 400 more to drink right behind that. So it's going to pick at that willpower and it'll gnaw at that willpower, demanding that you use, demanding that you relapse. Your limbic system is in there telling you, you need to have some alcohol, you need some cocaine, you need some PCP. If you don't, you're going to die. You will die if you don't use it. It's lying to you, but it's lying to you in a very, convincing way. So you'll get to the place where you'll be, man, I got to use something. So it's after you. It's telling you that in the middle of the craving, it might feel like the only escape is to use. That's the only thing we can do. There's nothing else I can do about it. All I can do is use. I have to use. Eventually, look, that thing will go away. That desire goes away. All that stuff goes away. But a lot of the time, we go away before it does. A lot of time, our willpower goes away, and we go ahead and use before that happens. Most and this is a good thing for us to know. We need to write this down on our eyeballs so we can see it. Most cravings, even those that are the most intense, go away within an hour. They feel like they're going to last the rest of your life. They feel like they're never, ever, ever going to subside. They're never going to go away. But they don't last more than an hour. And that's because of the way that your limbic system is set up. It focuses on something for about that period of time, and then it'll move off and go somewhere. So, if we can do something else, divert our attention, think about something else for 1 hour, then that stuff's going to be gone. So we need to get to the place where we can divert some stuff. Most cravings end within 1 hour of beginning, 1 hour of starting. So here's the deal. The goal of diversions is to buy yourself some time during that craving. I want to be able to buy myself a little bit of time, help myself to hold out until that hour is done, help myself to not use until I'm at a place where that stuff is leaving me. So if I can distract myself for just 1 hour, you'll have a much better chance of avoiding relapse. So we need to come up with a list of activities that we like to do. What do you like to do? I mean, other than talking in groups, what do you like to do?
Also, them cravings usually end after an hour, but maybe the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Get yourself something to do. 15 minutes.
Yeah. You just have something to do, and just that first, when it just begins, it's going to go away. So come up with a list of activities that you genuinely enjoy and that will keep you at a distance from your temptation from just a little while. So what would you use?
Everything I used to enjoy doing involved drugs.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a good point. He said everything that I used to enjoy doing involved drugs. So if you don't have anything that you can do sober, you need to make some new plans. Yeah, fishing. I don't mind fishing. Problem with fishing is you might catch something. If you catch something, you gotta clean it, and then if you clean it, you gotta eat it. All of that. He's shooting his fish. I don't.
You know what I'm saying? Hunting.
Oh, hunting. Yeah, that's good. There's a lot of things that you could go for a walk. We're gonna go these real quick. Watch a movie. It makes sense. It makes a difference what movie you watch. Don't watch Up in Smoke. That ain't gonna help. Do yard work. That really works. Get out there and play a game, play an instrument, go hiking, read a book, practice a hobby, draw, paint, go for a bicycle ride.
So I guess changing the things I used to do, all the things I thought were lame.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do those.
Yeah. The things that you used to not enjoy, the things that you used to think were kind of lame, do those things. See, draw, paint, call a friend, take photographs, play a sport, go for a run, do a craft, write or journal, lift weights, play with your pet, listen to music, clean, organize, cook, bake, take a long bath, go swimming, rearrange a room. So all of that stuff, what does that tell you? You can use anything as a diversion. The thing to do is to do something that doesn't include using drugs or alcohol. Do something. But here's the biggest part of that is to have a plan to do something. Because it's almost without a doubt that it's going to hit us. So we need to have these coping skills ready to go in place. We need to have a plan. When I start feeling like I need to use, I'm going to do something. I'm going to have some kind of plan. I'm going to clean the house, cut the grass. I'm going to milk the cow. Whatever it is that I'm going to do, I'm going to do. I'm going to go fly. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to get on my motorcycle and I'm going to ride around the road. I'm going to do something. So here's the big deal. We'll quit just a little bit early today, about 5 minutes early. But we need to have a plan to take care of the coping skills. We need to have those coping skills. Now, tomorrow, we're going to go back to our books, so make sure you have your book in class tomorrow. We're going to be on page 60 and 61 tomorrow, and we'll look a little bit more on our coping skill. I want to push this group up, give you some positive affirmations. Did really well today. We had a couple of folks who had a little sleeping issue, but they got over it, and I appreciate that. And we had a lot of good input and questions and all that.
Usually I do end up falling asleep very soon. Today was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.